What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of our Monday night online open mic. My name is Richie Marrufo, and I'll be your host. And this is a special stream because for some reason we couldn't go live, but that's fine. The show must go on, and we have a really full list tonight. With that said, I don't want to have too long of an intro. Like any other online open mic or open mic, in order to perform, all you have to do is sign up. We have a pretty great list, like I said, people from all over the country, from all over the world, and I want to support these peeps. So I'll encourage everyone to share their social media handles, website links, ways we can purchase their merch, or just support their work online. That's pretty much it. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off, as we often do, in Denver, and check in with Mike Sindler. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Hey. Hope all you
We're
folks
here.
out there in YouTube land who are watching this tomorrow get your extra credit anyway. We're tenacity, that's what it's all about. I'm going to put up my lighthousewriters.org sign that I always do, and I want to make a special mention because in June, Lighthouse is doing their annual Lit Fest. And while it'd be wonderful to see some of y'all come up to Denver, there are at least probably a couple dozen events that are going to be happening through Zoom. And registration for Lit Fest just started a couple days ago, but some of the stuff with some of the just most amazing people teaching, those classes are going to fill up very quickly. So I would highly recommend going ahead and going to lighthousewriters.org, look at the Lit Fest calendar and see if there's not something that you really, really want to see. That being said, I'm going to just start going through some of the stuff I've been writing for the last couple weeks here as we do our National Poetry Month NaNoWriMo. And this first one's called Last Log Left. We become a different edifice than our inner architect imagined. Beams still brave to bear load, jut out precariously, weathered sand-scarred walls, carved language of wind, a song for fingertips. Tufts of wild grass bloom from cracks, shift foundation, alter equilibrium. Darkness inside cut through. Uncertain curtain, sunbeam, mistakes, clutter for memorabilia. Last log left in hearth misses its match. And the next one is based on a really great essay that called The Length of a Line, something about a line. But this is called Half a Comma for Denise Levertov. The duration of half a comma, bare drama of an inhalation, step in line makes time take notice. And this next one is called Epitome. What comes after the epitome? Is that when you get rid of me? Moment staged to strategic retreat, softened savage exposition of defeat. What comes before the inception? Does time exist beyond perception? How to build on what is not constructed? Could a dream undreamed be abducted? What space lies beneath the nadir? Is depression deeper than a crater? Spirit tumbling from sea to sky for lack of you and too much of me. Somebody's unmuted. Great if they could mute again. That's much appreciated. I'm going to do this one called Viewpoint. Zoom is the most imperfect mirror. Perception pushed back from myriad rooms. Unrecognizable appraisals so different than those lived in for decades. Fresh interpretation unreliable. Each point of contact alters impressions. Old faults better hidden. Reflection of fresh growth. Flaws sanded down to reveal finer features. deference to dissonance, viewpoint instability. What do they see that is or isn't me? And do this one called Grief Motel. Who is in the room beyond this wall? Thin sheetrock layers, no match for grief. Tear flood seeps from hallway stream. New fuel for carpet, sad pattern of mold. Windows rattle, pain sticks to glazing. Groans, muffled meanings indistinguishable from climax. Slowly unpacked suitcase of silence. Does sorrow stop for sleep? Does it ever check out? What does the other side hear from me? New fresh hell and grief hotel. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thanks for kicking things off, man. You know, like I said, we got to do it live. So again, shout out to everyone on YouTube watching this right now. Yeah, Mike Sindler always starting off strong with the pieces. Yeah, there were some pretty clever rhymes in there that I really appreciated and got to enjoy. Did you forget to do the cover? Oh, you didn't. Yeah, let's do that. Oh no, so we got to also get the lighthouse. There we go.
Okay, I'm just gonna do one because I actually did more pieces than I was expecting to. So I'm just gonna do one cover. As we've said, it's National Poetry Month, so I'm going to do one that I know Kit will like because it's by one of his favorite poets, Billy Collins, and it's Introduction to Poetry. I asked them to take a poem and hold it up to the light like a color slide, or press an ear against its hive. I say, drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. I want them to water ski across the surface of a poem, waving at the author's name on the shore. But all they want to do is tie the poem to a chair with rope and torture a confession out of it. They begin beating it with a hose to find out what it really means. Okay, now thank you all very much.
That's a classic one. I always love sharing that with my students to kind of show them beating up some poetry, to get their meanings. All right, yes, Mike Sindler, thank you so much, man. Yes, that is also an example of the cover poem. We do welcome original pieces. We also welcome tributes to established poets, friends, or just people that you look up to. All right, we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna make a visit in South Euclid, Ohio. See him doing some poet laureate duties lately, and that's always really cool. Let's go ahead and bring up back to the mic, Doc Janning. What's going on, man? Welcome back. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Too much going on. Sometimes I feel as though I'm going that away. I've reached back in time to some older work of mine. All of it music related. Magic. Fingers fly across the strings and the guitar sings, sonorous and sweet, to accompany the voice of its player. Each lives within the other, voices mixing and melding as they blend, poetry and music in the magic of song. This is I Hear Music. I hear music. I listen, and melody flows over, around, through me. I reach out. It touches my heart. I inhale. It fills and soothes my soul. I close my eyes. It paints pictures in my mind. I dream, and I am one with the multiverse. And this is titled The Song of Lovers. It is meant to be an art song in the long run. On a peaceful, pleasant afternoon in the warm and silken sun, does your soul yet dream of a road, of a faraway road to an old, old town where boats still glide on a pond, where, where still is heard the sound of a maple's leaves rustling a peaceful song, where there is yet the shade of those gnarled old trees under which two lovers met, and still are the starlit nights when their souls still fly to the sound of a gentle lute, where all of life was peaceful and sweet as the song of lovers. Remember the afternoons we spent on the soft grass by that pond? I will always hear that sweet and gentle, rustling, leafy song, and the soft, soft sound of the zephyr's breath when kites were afloat in the sky. And all of life was peaceful and sweet as the song of lovers. In rain and fog, I still hear the words I spoke from poems of that time. My joyous passion and passionate longing have never fled, and my voice resounds in the voice of the lute, which sings and sighs for you. I wish I could find in its voice the words I need to express my lasting loving dreams of life and love so peaceful and sweet as the song of lovers. In my dreams, my heart still hears the voice of that lute, playing and singing as it waits, longing, wanting, forever in love with the girl you were in those dream-filled, love-filled days, when all of life was peaceful and sweet as the song of lovers. Now I yearn for long, long nights, when once again my soul may dream, and dream sweet dreams of you, as I dream of that time so long ago, which has ne'er faded away. Shall time return ere again for you, for me, for us, when life began in love-filled nights and wondrous sunny days, and all of life was peaceful and sweet as the song of lovers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it. And is there anything you'd like to promote? Any online shows coming up, workshops, anything like that?
Nothing that I'm doing online. Thank you.
All righty then. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for making it on. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your evening or whenever you guys are watching this. We're going to go ahead and just keep this moving along because as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have a pretty full list. So we're going to be bouncing around from spot to spot in the snap of an instant. I was going to say in the blink of an eye and I was going to do a weird thing. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and check in with our main man in Maine. He's got some words for you. Let's go ahead and bring up Generalissimo Brian Franco. What's up, man?
Gracias, Richie.
Hey.
So the first is going to be one of the ones I wrote in Robin Schofield's workshop on Saturday at Tub of Words. And I've just titled it A Positive Yelp Review for the Cabins Behind Moody's Diner in Waldoboro, Maine. I'm awoken by a scurrying noise, maybe roaches in walls or nocturnal critters descending from trees to torment insufferable humans who have invaded their Eden. These so-called cabins are more like cubicles with walls. Each one has a dorm fridge and a small round table with 2 chairs. It is at best quaint. I have opened a window to let late night summer air try to act as air conditioning. I suddenly feel the mattress springs teasing me like fingernails of a past patron whose ghost is saying hello. The shower is a stall so narrow. Reaching for soap and shampoo requires being a contortionist. It's cheap. It is cheap compared to comfortable hotel and motel rooms 2 and 3 times costlier. After showering and dressing, I walk outside to trees and summer birdsong, 2 more nights of ghost massages and wildlife toenail serenades become lullabies that allow me to not eat fast food this weekend. I should call this place a nightmare, but all alleged bad dreams can be interpreted as bad dreams, or proverbially as it is what it is. Pulled this one out of the archives today because I ran into someone at Trader Joe's, and that I knew from being in the Portland poetry scene years ago, and I said something like "alas" within my conversation, which I never really use that word. So this is called "There's an Alas Caught in That Tree." I noticed the branches of a tree in a parking lot waving wildly in the wind as if they were all the snakes atop Medusa's head, struggling with her destiny. It looked as if the tree thought it could will its roots to push hard enough to escape the ground, but the hold of the soil is stronger than the will of the tree. Alas, the trees need to find a more intrinsically congruous locale to rest its roots wasn't in the cards. As a poet, I find putting use to words like alas, words rarely used in the conversational lexicon. Such words were at home in Dickens novels, radio dramas, and black and white films, but now hang on for dear life in period theater productions, poetry, and crossword puzzles. Unlike the tree that is unaware it exists for the purpose of aesthetic landscaping that will never find a forest, I can find new homes for a few stray alasses. As a result, a word I write into a poem might just prevent an almost extinct word from being rooted into oblivion. I have 4 poems. The first is called Out of the Blue. He was a professed purveyor of pornographic poetry. His verse was replete with the type of sophisticated, elegant, lowbrow sexual imagery other writers secretly wished they could create. Despite his penchant for smut, he was a truly kind individual, but sometimes he suffered from a congenital case of out of the blue motherfuckerness. Neither of his parents ever exhibited motherfuckerness, nor did any uncles, aunts, or siblings. The doctors had never seen such a mysterious occurrence of motherfuckerness. Though they never said it officially or told him, his medical team believed he might have been switched accidentally by a famous alcoholic nurse in the hospital nursery that was officially responsible for 18 proven unintentional baby switches discovered after her death in a hot air balloon collapse. Of course, this fact was discovered at least a decade prior to the manifestation of his motherfuckerness. Since he was eventually named the Poet Laureate of San Francisco, then California, and finally the USA, in which he read a poignant, non-pornographic poem at the inauguration of President Drew Barrymore that resulted in a vocal bravo from the president and a standing ovation from a crowd of over 143,000 people, he became a spokesperson for Americans with out of the blue motherfuckerness, lending acceptance to a previously unknown condition most people refer to as acting like an egregious asshole. And I have one more poem that is brand new. Let me grab it. It's called, if anyone wants to tell me if you find any of this not right or have any suggestions, it's called Ignorance Can Only Beget what it begets. Ignorance can only beget what it begets. I do not comprehend ignorance. Ignorance is a hamster wheel that, like Mount Everest to Sir Edmund Hillary, will always be there. Purveyors of ignorance are not always aware the information they believe true is misinformation. It can cast a wide net that snags innocent bystanders by their ears. Ignorance is like trying to tattoo lipstick on a pig. If you shave a big, hairy wild boar, it will never be appropriate to cast that shaved wild boar as Wilbur in a live-action version of Charlotte's Web. Ignorance is verbal inertia, causing reactions that exacerbate misinformation into hate. I wonder if Sir Isaac Newton's scientific theory was actually about ignorance, which somehow makes sense because ignorance by definition makes no sense. Thank you.
love getting to hear new shit. Really quick, how can people follow and support you online, including your online mic on Mondays as well?
I will grab that and put it in the chat for you. Thank you.
Alrighty then. Awesome. And as always, thank you. What is up, everyone? We are doing our online open mic. And yeah, here we are. Cool. We're back. We're doing it out of the ordinary today. So this is pre-recorded. So we're recording this Monday night of April 10th, but you're probably watching this a little later on. Of course, it is your present. So we grace you with our presence. We're going to go ahead and keep going. We're going to go ahead and go from the East Coast to the West Coast. Our next performer is joining us from the San Francisco Bay Area, and their name rhymes with "It's Been Swell." That's right. It's no other than Finn Bell. Yo, what is up? Finn
Good
Bell.
evening. How's
Hello.
it going? Hi, my dears.
It is going.
Yeah. Hi, Richie.
Hi.
Um,
Switch with you.
yeah, I switched your need back. So I'm
There we
going
go.
to start with 2 one-sentence poems, and then an older poem from the archives, and then a cover. So 2 one-sentence poems. First one is called Joy Call. The rain does not fail to summon bird song, to scatter eager conversation and laughter. Droplet optimism among the low-clad. Let me do that again. The rain does not fail to summon bird song, to scatter eager conversation and laughter. Droplet optimism among low-quat leaves. The second one is called Kind Heart. Kitten lady comes twice monthly, rain or shine, to bring her love, hope and nourishment to the wandering neighborhood feral citizens. Okay, so going to the archives. And where did they go? Okay, so this is a poem, I think perhaps from 2 years back. And it is called, my iPad is just not cooperating. So a lot of you are familiar with this one. It is called Desert Horses. In the late afternoon sun, we find ourselves kindred and foreign all at once. The red rock formation, a faulty television set, sand becomes fire, not earth. Our family did not go on long car trips. Vacations arrived sparse and earnest, filling our hungry youth with their stale order, prepackaged in amusement park delusions that children cling on to, never satisfied, always seeking. A precursor to prepare for a middle-class life. This trip was no different. Mama said we were moving to California. My sister and I took turns sprawling on the fragrant maroon leather seats of our daddy's robin eggshell blue Skylark, cradling the styrofoam icebox between us, feeling like skylarks ourselves, the whole expanse of sky above us, ours and no one else's. If we tilted our heads slightly, we could play spatial games with the light on the old coop ceiling, fading, igniting, creating prisms with their own secrets to keep. If we tilted our head a little more, Spotty nodded sagely at us in unfailing rhythm from the perch on the rear seat. The sun leads the way. We are all moving westward. No soup, we eat flames. Our parents did not know long car trip games. They did not trust roadside attractions. What they did know were children's bellies, how to pack staples like collapsible cups for Coca-Cola and cold fried chicken, neatly folded into aluminum foil for brief pauses at necessary picnics, in rest stops where folks in the South probably still stared at folks who were tiny and brown. Where folks pointed more west, probably still let their eyes linger too long on my sturdy, upright wisp of a father, or my mother's pleasing, soft moon face, or on beautiful young girls with smoky tumbles of unkempt black hair and kalumpit black eyes, imagining illicit invitations in the margin of the hot days unsent. Near these rest stops were young men with midnight dark hair to rival our own, Spirits ablaze just beneath the careful, polite shutters, protecting the spirits still dancing centuries later in their eyes. Upon their makeshift table were horses thundering across a burlap desert, wood holding the sun's own sacred hearth as they danced among their brothers wild. Their marble kin were stalwart, gray-eyed and almost mute, guardians of wisdom found among stories passed from mother's teat into daughter's attentive mouth. The most delicate of the marble fillies compelled my hand to lift her from her stately gait on her foremothers' and forefathers' land. Upon her flank was a single bright sienna flash, only visible if you turned her just right in the fading light. My horse carried her people's undying spark, all their courage and lessons present still. Mustang fly by going home. They slow, greet ancestors in the sky. The heavens are ardent with fire. And then I wanted to close with a cover poem, Imaginary Hat. So this is Adrienne Rich, 21 Love Poems, Poem 2. I wake up in your bed. I know I have been dreaming. Much earlier, the alarm broke us from each other. You've been at your desk for hours. I know what I dreamed. Our friend, the poet, comes into my room where I've been writing for days. Drafts, carbons, poems are scattered everywhere. And I want to show her one poem, which is the poem of my life. But I hesitate and wake. You've kissed my hair to wake me. I dreamed you were a poem. I say, a poem I wanted to show someone. And I laugh and fall dreaming again of the desire to show you to everyone I love, to move openly together in the pull of gravity, which is not simple, which carries the feathered grass a long way down the up-breathing air. Thank you.
Oh, I love that so much. Adrienne Rich coming through. Not the first time you read them either. Finn Bell, how can people follow and support you online, including all the awesome events that you do?
Well, they can go on my Linktree, which is Linktree/Finn Bell. Tomorrow, there is no reading space left, but I am featuring with Coastside Poets, which is coastsidepoetry.org. And on Thursday, I have the second of my April poetry games. And this one is hosted by Maureen Medina. It is at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. It's called Sinners Are Welcome and We Are All Sinners. So it's going to be really juicy. That's it. Yay.
That's great. I love that. What a great title. I'm always not just with the work and all that. I'm always fascinated with all the clever titles you guys all come up with. It's amazing. Yeah, so we'll be sharing those links. You guys are watching right now, listen up closely, and we'll try and leave links in the comments of the video so you guys can follow all these amazing people and the work that they're doing. All right, we are going to go ahead and keep this momentum going, and we're going to jump right back to another part of the country and visit Pittsburgh for at least our next two performers. Our next performer has their debut play, Words of the Prophets, coming up. They have tickets available both in person and for live stream. We'll share those links, of course, but let's go ahead and welcome back to the mic, Vale Larkin. Hey, Vale.
Hey, how you doing?
Making through, you know. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Busy, but good busy. Okay, I've got 3 pieces today. The first 2 are very pointed, and the last one is a little bit of a break from the first 2. The first one and the last one are brand new. Yeah, trigger warning for a lot of talk of abortion and pregnancy. Abortion list. A curette. A suction wand. 2 pills taken hours apart. But this part's wrong. It's all gone now and we must go on. A coat hanger. A knitting needle. A button hook. No, we're out of button hooks nowadays. There's another one down. Methotrexate, methamphetamine, crack cocaine taken in large enough quantities. Donquai, Angelica, fistfuls of tansy leaf, enough to save a life, not enough to take two. A punch to the stomach, a fall down the stairs, rough horseback riding, plan B in quantity, an entire pack of birth control pills, an entire pack of razors, enough to take two, because one won't be enough for them, can't sate their hunger for fresh flesh from fettered, can't break their bonds, can't release their grip on her, can't unclench their fists from around that speck of cells, can't escape them or this or it any other way. When I say to this feminist that abortion is intersectional, it's not a priority, she says. She is white. Why is she always white, and why am I constantly disappointed in her? Abortion rights have to be our focus, she says. Like vision is monochromatic, no detail, no texture, just a thick, pale fog, cloying and toxic. They will send tear gas into black bodies tonight, tomorrow, and on and on. All those abortions hanging in the air and choking everyone but the abortionists in their riot gear and malice. But tell me again about priorities. Tonight, a boy they were wrong about discovers his body is betraying him, turning him into a box, a basket, and he wants it to stop, and he wants to escape. So tomorrow he swallows a barrel, like one mouth can contain all of that death, but it doesn't, and the boy dies alone. But tell me again about priorities. Tomorrow night and every night forever, rape without end, world without mercy, those women, those children, those bodies will suffer, and no one will save them or show them their worth. But tell me once again about the priorities. And as I said, this last one's a little bit of a break. My body time machine. My body time machine grabs me back again, and by the nose this time, so sweet, so sharp, so filling up of sinus space and exploding in my brain like firework flowers, like the moment you first kissed me beneath the blossoms on the wall, and now that spring seizes and stretches them down and down again. Their scent unleashes Saturn, and I am pulled back to your embrace. My body time machine is slicing through the years like surf, riding their ripples. My body time machine is swimming up, up, and over again to see the farthest peaks of the past, count the bubbles in their foam, and feel again your body, firm flesh and giving skin, the tickle and press of your chest on mine, and how we elide, flowing together, our liquid affinity for sharing our space. My body time machine makes eons light, but massive moments, so heavy they pull years into their paths, call to a siren sweet, and we sweep around again to meet them, gracious greeting, then their overwhelming presence. Sorry, 1 second. Then their overwhelming presence in the present, like past was nothing, a rumor of distance where there is only unity, you and me and our orbits intertwined, and I meet you here and now in the instant of our being together, and I meet you then for the first time, and I find your arms around me always. Thank you. I put my links up in chat.
Words of the Prophet is coming out. Get some tickets. Thank you, Vale Larkin. Anything you want to say about that before we move on?
Oh, just that I'm seeing rehearsal videos that people at the after party might get to see if they feel like. So I'm very excited about what's happening with us.
Oh, that is great. Oh, and what a shining preview, not preview, yeah, promotion for the after party. If you guys aren't familiar, the after party is just after the show, and we just kind of hang out and vent some more and talk and chill and hang out and listen and just work on stuff. It's just after the show. It's the show after the show, pretty much. But we are currently still doing our thing here, and we have plenty of performers left, looking pretty full. So we're gonna go ahead and continue. We're actually gonna stick around in Pittsburgh, and we have some short fiction from Andrew Pryor. Andrew, welcome back. It's always good seeing you here in this space. Go and take it away.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
I have a very short story to read today, about 3 minutes. So without further ado. If you look to your left, you'll see a building that isn't there. You just have to walk down 7th Avenue when the sun is setting, turn and look at the glass side of the Reading House skyscraper, angle yourself just right so you can see all 7 of the tall buildings across the river reflected in the dark tinted windows. Then turn away from the reflection, look across the way with your own naked eyes, and count only 6. We call it the Lightning House. No one can tell you where it came from or how it works, but once it was discovered, it became very clear what it was for. The people who've lived here for more than a while don't fear getting caught in a rainstorm at all. The lightning only strikes that specific place over and over again, even though there are many taller buildings and parks with dead trees and open spaces where families picnic and drink milkshakes under their ponchos in the driving rain. You can see a line of tourists at the edge of the water every sunset when the vision is at its sharpest, taking pictures of the empty space between buildings 5 and 6, and then trading their smartphones with each other, looking to see the slight differences in between each photo. That's the thing. Everyone sees a different building, and a different building every separate time they look. Most of them describe it as having a candelabra type appearance, all of these metal arms poking out of the windows and arcing upwards, like a cross between a lightning rod and a family tree. Some of them describe it as this wavering, shaking thing, even in a still photograph, something trying to rid itself of an inner torment. Some describe it as a tall, thin pyramid, twisting at its pinnacle, looking for the lightning to connect. We build habitats for the wild birds that visit our backyards. So if you look at it in those childish terms, it makes sense that something that doesn't have a house, that tears a hole in the sky and violently plummets to earth, grasping at anything tall enough to hold onto it and scraping down the insides of it, searching and shaking the walls and burning down everything to its foundation. It sounds like something vengeful. It sounds like a curse that no one ever tried to love. That's it.
For people, I know you have your podcast. Like, can you share that link again? We'll definitely push it out to people.
Yeah, actually, I'm ending the podcast. I haven't updated it in a while. I'm gonna go back to start just submitting stuff to journals, and hopefully I'll get accepted, and then I'll have that to link in the chat.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, we definitely look forward to that. Great. Good luck, Andrew. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your work.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Rest in peace podcast. Good stuff. I always say, like, Andrew has such a great voice and reading the voice. So even if the archives are still there, he has some access to some of those stories. But yeah, we look forward to future publications as always. All right. Yeah. We're going to come back to Paso. That is, I failed to mention that. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of the show, but we are based out of El Paso, Texas, here in the El Paso Juarez border. Yeah, first El Paso poet of the night is going to read Robin Schofield. What is up, Robin? How are you?
Hey, Richie. Hey, everybody. Good to be here again on a Monday night. It's gotten to be quite the ritual. And I want to read some lighter poems tonight, and then I'm going to read a kind of a heavyweight poem from my cover poem. And these are going to be from my book, Flow, which won the Southwest Book Award in 2019. I think you can still get Flow on Amazon. I don't have very many copies of it left myself. Okay, so this is called Spring Break Across the Rio Bravo. In the valley, full of others, aliens, and green buds swelling into white blossom. A flow of perfume inflates me in the never cold orange groves. Crossing over at Matamoros, I do not know to bring my birth certificate, so I borrow Penny's, whose last name I can't remember now, when thou was south of the border 30 years ago with Rex and Leanne, who think to bring their own identities in flux on the beach dotted with phosphorus blue micro animals in Puerto Vallarta, where I become a turtle, rising on all fours under my shell coat as we camp out that night on mescaline while Leanne determines to go to medical school and Rex, the future pharmacist, squirts limon in his ear for an infection. I reflect on the glowing beach, our stars thrown down. And then this one is called Solar Power. Due to the permanent marring of her tomorrows, a Russian astrologer is suing the United States for $300 million for ruining the natural order of things by NASA's firing a probe named Deep Impact into Comet Temple 1 to see what kind of stuff its ice and dust might be, altering its course, thus sending this woman's horoscope wheeling out of whack as she demands it back, her Ptolemaic universe in toto, and the bucks to ease the agony of its loss. This umbrella of gravity can fold around her ears for all she cares, so long as no stray rocks slice through her chart, which once upon a time was set in stone. In her land of snow, a comet did blast a forest and lay its sperm in a seam of fire and ice. It didn't trouble the heavens then. Now the moon just barely holds the waters back. And I want to give a shout out to Tumblewords. So far we've had two great workshops, I must say, this month. One by Kit Wren and one by me. One on Billy Collins and one on Charles Simic. So it's been great. Do drop by the poetry workshop at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. We have it on Zoom now. And we're going to have maybe a hybrid reading later in the month, I think. So I want to read a poem about Tumblewords and send it out to in memory of Donna Snyder. Unlikely guy in the poetry workshop. He calls himself Twain, literary and laconic moniker, tall, even Lincoln-esque, but unkempt, hands caked with dirt as though he dug out of the grave just yesterday, smelling of it too, sending the young lesbians in black tivas into rants on their own mortality. Then he says, the Etruscans had too many words for divination, haruspices and sulfur and mineral and grit, and he's weeping over his ex and her son, but what could she do when she called and his furies answered in rhyme and meter? All of us are staggered by it as he voices what voices him in two tongues, cursed and gifted, dry wit railing against the riddled world. When Donna asks, would you like to lead a workshop? He replies, sure, if I'm not in jail. Okay, and I want to read Elegy to Silence by Federico Garcia Lorca. July 1920. Silence, where are you taking your window pane misted with laughter, with words and sobs from the trees? Silence, how do you wash the dew of song and the sonorous strains of distant oceans from the tranquil whiteness of your cloak? Who heals you when some old water wheel in the fields drives its slow dart through your glass? Where do you go if at sunset you are wounded by bells and your backwaters are broken by flocks of songs and the great golden murmur that falls on blue mountains in tears? The winter air splinters your blue and the quiet lament of some cool spring cuts through your groves. Wherever you lay your hands, you find laughter's thorn or the hot axe blow of passion. Even out among the stars, the solemn buzzing of bluebirds unsettles the poise of your hidden skull. Fleeing from sound, you are sound itself, ghost of harmony, smoke of the cry and of song. On dark nights you come to us to whisper the infinite word without breath, without lips. Riddled with stars and ripe with music, silence, where do you take your extra human sorrow, trapped in melodious spider webs? Your holy source now dry forever. Today, cloudy with thought, your waves drag sonorous ash and ancient sorrow. The echoes of cries now vanished forever, the distant clamor of a mummified ocean. If Yahweh has fallen asleep, silence, ascend the radiant throne, crack an extinguished star over his head, and gravely still the eternal music of light. Then go back to the source from which, in the eternal night, before God and time, you peacefully flowed. So that is a little Garcia Lorca for us tonight. I have a new book coming out called Ridge of High Pressure. It may be as soon as next month, certainly by the summer. I hope so, because there are a lot of summertime poems in there. It's all about me taking a walk with my dog and observing the climate changes. So that's what I got going on.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Robin, as always, for sharing those and always just sharing amazing poets too, in addition to yourself when you perform at these nights. So yeah, check out Tumble Words Project if you have not heard of it. Generative writing workshop every Saturday held online. You just find the Tumble Words Project on Facebook, or you can just follow Kit online, who's also here tonight, and ask him more info. All right. Our next performer joins us from Cornwall Bridge, Connecticut. He's a poet, artist, free speech activist, author of an acclaimed publication, The Open Microphone, Human Rights, Free Speech, and the Word. He is the founder of the unparalleled free speech platform titled The Human Room Open Voice, or THROV.life, and will soon be releasing a new podcast, The Word Show, which stands for Worlds of Resolved Dichotomies, a creative, free, and critical thinkers round table. Sounds pretty great. It's always great when we have someone return to the show. It's been a little while, but we always welcome a returning performer. Let's go ahead and welcome CC Arshagra. Welcome to the stage, my friends. Good to see you again. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good to see you. You nailed the last name there. Yeah, Arshagra. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put this little pretty much thing in the chat. I like the way you had that set up to sign in. I never saw that before. That's really good work. Let's see. Yeah, what you said. The Human Room Open Voice. This is the book. It's my life work. It's not about me. It's not my poetry. It's a study of free speech. It's actually listed ISBN as a social science work. number one and number two poetry, because that's what it is. It's basically, well, they looked like this in the beginning 20 years ago. Scared Sacred, Death of an Ego, and there was one called What Men Are a Character. And I'm going to read something from my very first book. This is from 1996. But before I do that, my favorite line, I'll do the cover later, is just a line from an anthology called The Rag and Bone Shop of the Heart. And in there are two poems by Kabir. And the last line, it's one of the most favorite lines I have of poetry. It says, "If you have not lived through something, it is not true. If you have not lived through something, it is not true." I've always been able to somehow let that grow. The whole story of laureateships, and there's a story in my life I won't get into, but it unearthed this thing called the poet laureate in the tree that falls in the forest of nobody hears you. And this is a few lines from that. Poetry saves lives. Poetry can heal where there are wounds. Poetry can bring peace to where violence resides. Poetry can teach harm. It is harm. Poetry can hear silence, breathing, love, invisible. Poetry can be abused and still, in the movements of mind, birth the end of abuse. Poetry can free imprisoned questions. Poetry can let your own truths die. Rest in peace. Poetry outlives the poet and the poem. And my first book is this. This cover is by Aldo Temberlini. I only made 250 of these and sold them all. I'm lucky I even still have one. Aldo is a dear friend of mine. Nobody knew who he was practically when I met him, but he's world famous now. Gone. Untitled number one. With a pen, no idea blooms with all senses being. No idea that words will come out spelling. A poetic image, an exercised soul speaking the impossible picture of clear. And Tear Dust Memories is the last poem in that book. Hunger, the hunger of fall. I'll start again. The hunger of fall, hectic and cloud. I am wrapped in an old goose down armchair. A puff of breath wakes the spine to a book of poems peeled from the dust of the book's last reading. Pages slide over shadows, illuminating a heart light that the soft lamps shine wishes it could reach. The back pages of the book open on their own. 9 rose petals are released as rain and snow falling, resting on my chest, rising to empty and settle as tears do. With the softness of reading the words all so bare and about my open robe. The catch of oxygen filling, shamelessly quivering, naked of breath and revealing as text goes back and back to reel in memory and mind. The bittersweet thoughts of love's end and love again, crossing over and over what now moves the raw roughness of the past unprotected. My eyelids down, weighted, lashes twining to see the misty coverings over. The invention pain once planted to protect, now too much truth all at once. A rising threat of dissipation so gentle it tears the soul open, presently venting old dusty tears that will evaporate an older mute friend named pain. By a light of feeling the healing resurrected and settling into a poem. And that's my first book, which was actually one book that became 2 in 1996. I split them up. And I don't know how much time is left, but is that good, or you want another little one? Okay, from emotional geography. I haven't read these in a very long time. I'm sorry. Emotional geography #1. I almost didn't publish this because people told me that my work was too deep and too metaphysical, and I have to make it so people will understand it. And that's one of the reasons the book was split into two. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't write what it is that you have to say. A rock living through the pulse inside an eyelash did not see it coming. The blind sun speaks and awakens a sphere, sees blue and balances on a solar plexus opening. This rock gave equilibrium time to think about how many times being alive may live through the feeling of one life, a single cellular song near countless by measure. Visions moving through a watery question, feeling repetitious waves of nothing wanting to escape now. As living in activity searches for rest in the home of all actions living. Being a mind forming over waves of transformation, the eyelashes covering the transplantation of insight. Versions of visions of what is possession in I. The heart of impossible looks to be never ending, as all gods guarantee the birth of innocence at the end of it all. And then again, there may be no chance of ever having to owe something for the way home. Thank you, everyone.
For sharing that. I do remember last time your books, and I appreciate you sharing those. Thank you so much, CC. And as always, you're more than welcome to join us anytime you have free. All right. Do you have a website or anything, by the way? Is it
It's ccrshagra.com. It's the top thing. And then that's the book is there. The YouTube channel for the Human Room Open Voice, that's every second Sunday. That's an open microphone, free speech platform where it's not just an open mic, but you go and you read 9 principles of involvement. And then when I'm done building it, I'm going to give it away. The domain name will belong to everyone. It's an entire ecosystem. It's 2 years in the making. I'm not going to give up on that. The roundtable is brand new. There's only 2 episodes that have been recorded. It's phenomenal. It's deep. It's free thinking. It's I don't know how to move forward with it, but I'm working with the people that were involved in the first few. I had a guest host for Michael Anthony Ingram hosted the first 2. One was over an hour. The other two were 2-parters, almost 90 minutes each. They're radio, but they have a little rolling text. I don't want to go on too long. There's other people's time here. So yeah, keep in touch. And if you're a really free thinker and you love words and you have a benevolent being, this might be for you. Shoot me a message or a link or anything. Keep in touch. Call.
All righty then. Thank you so much. Definitely had to ask about that. Very cool. Thank you, CC Shagra. Great having you. We're going to go ahead and keep it going again for time. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to our online open mic. Again, this show is a little different than we usually have it. We're usually live streaming it on Monday nights. And well, this is Monday night for us. You're watching this in our future, which is your present. So as we continue, we're going to go ahead and stop off in Chicago. And our next performer is with PGN, the Poetry Global Network, is the chancellor of the Poetry Academy, hosting Planet Poetry 28 workshops, events, and is in publishing. Let's go ahead and welcome Poet with Guitar. What is up, man? Good to see you, Mark.
Nice to see you. Yeah, I know a lot of the friends here from a lot of open mics, and they see me play guitar now and then. Tonight I'm just gonna do some poetry. Could you could you enable the share screen for me? That's my thing.
All right, you're good to go.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Just want some poems. Blood Brothers. Start with the sonnet. Colors are the source of our differences, like flowers with prideful scents. Only blood is red beneath the skin and shares our sameness within. We are brown with hair of paprika, white like butterflies with eyes azure. We are the yellowness of a wedding band, ebony as tourmaline, amber as desert sand. If only we saw in black and white tones or greeted each other by our noses, or like dolphins send our sonar songs across the hues of oceans. Best we meet in a poem which has no skin, as we meet here, the same blood within.
Hmm.
This is one that I haven't, the Kaleidoscope Poetry anthology that PGN just put out. And because of the shooting today and what Frog has gone through and all the rest, I thought I'd throw it in. It's called American Exceptionalism, and our Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia, with being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. My neighbors spend Sunday afternoons shooting guns in their backyards with the ping ping of tin can targets until the automatics open fire at the sky, piercing the clouds with bullet holes. What are they aiming at in their dreams? They are shooting at me. I pretend not to hear, not to care, but the silence of the summer breezes are filled with sounds of combat. I had a toy gun once, went bang, bang, but I found better ways to ejaculate without the thrill of killing things. They are shooting at me. A well-regulated militia, says the ancient charter. They are not a militia, and surely not regulated. Bearing arms defines freedom, you hear they swear their loyalties to the Lord's kingdom of peace. The country is one big shooting gallery. They are shooting at me. America obsessed with stains of blood, infatuated by power and sworn to might. Mass murders are absorbed like higher taxes, alone among the nations, rich or poor, while peace lovers are despised and feared, feeble intellectuals with crybaby tears, and they are shooting at me. I have a grandson in college now, and this is a poem I wrote for him. To one come of age. When I was young back then, as now, the world was split like vultures fighting over a bloody cow. War and scandal were all the news, so everybody grew their hair long. What did all the tumult and flower power bring? What mystical awakening? All we wanted was to laugh again, like the children we were inside. Roaring years of drugs and fun, roller skating to a sonic drum, our jitterbugging rock and roll. Love feels homeless on the streets of now, in history's dialectic of despair. Everything's impossibly complex. Prejudice and chaos still rule the airwaves. Tell me what the future brings. Who would dare? What is to be said of us ancient ones who danced like dervishes of future shock as the planet melted and air became thick? I was part of it. We all took our share. Growing soft and unwise, spinning from the past, unwilling to surrender to regrets. History sputters on in a trance. The nation bickers with itself again. Gloom and scandal are all you hear. Seek out the revelry, not the despair. The world obeys its fate, and youth will fade. Strive for your untamed innocence while you still have the chance. How am I doing in time? I have two more and then a come poem. Is that okay? Small ones or yeah?
Smaller ones, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. March poem, April poem. What can you do when stuck in mud? Freezing rain keeps falling. The heavy soil clings to your heart, and your linens are stained and brown. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink through the trenches of buried dreams, tripping over tree roots and boulders. The ooze stinks and is filled with vermin. Ahead are fields in weeks of muck. Not a donkey cart can get through. So you must stay put in your barn, spread a blanket of hay on the ground as your very wings collapse from the frost, waiting for something called spring. The air is resplendent with a profusion of flower from a distant hemisphere. The elegiac clouds bring the gifted rain. I am forgotten to the season I just belong to, judging the passing of time as an obligation, like I had sworn an oath. Sunlight breaks through to a blush of green. I become like the hummingbird, appearing and disappearing. And this short one, this I wrote, this is part of the April poetry thing, this I wrote today. If only words could harmonize, hire a woodpecker band, bring the silent forest to rumba. If only words could eye the sun, bathe in a blanket of light, skin of naked clouds, molten gold. If only words could waltz the waves, flow in currents of arpeggio, up and round the moon we go. If only words could be more like music, saying nothing, saying everything. If only they whistled like birds, I would write serenades, dusk to dawn. And for my come poem, I'd like to read When the Ship Comes In by Bob Dylan, which is a lyric, but as a poem, it's why, well, you win the Nobel Prize, you write this. Oh, the time will come up when the wind will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing. Like the stillness in the wind before the hurricane begins, the hour that the ship comes in. And the seas will split and the ship will hit and the sands on the shoreline will be shaking. Then the tide will sound and the wind will pound and the morning will be breaking. Oh, the fishes will laugh as they swim out of the path, and the seagulls they'll be smiling. And the rocks on the sand will proudly stand the hour that the ship comes in. And the words that are used for to get the ship confused will not be understood as they're spoken. For the chains of the sea will have busted in the night and will be buried at the bottom of the ocean. A song will lift as the mainsail shifts and the boat drifts on to the shoreline, and the sun will respect every face on the deck the hour that the ship comes in. Then the sands will roll out a carpet of gold for your weary toes to be a-touching. And the ship's wise men will remind you once again that the whole wide world is watching. Oh, the foes will rise with the sleep still in their eyes, and they'll jerk from their beds and think they're dreaming. But they'll pinch themselves and squeal and know that it's for real the hour when the ship comes in. Then they'll raise their hands saying, we'll meet all your demands, and we'll shout from the bow, your days are numbered. And like Pharaoh's tribe, they'll be drowned in the tide, and like Goliath, they'll be conquered. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to promote?
No, I mean, I have a workshop. I do workshops with the Poetry Academy, and this Saturday and Sunday, I'm doing one on ekphrastic poetry. I have a very different take on ekphrastic poetry, and then I'm doing Planet Poetry 28. It's on Saturday this month at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and that's the only fully share screen event on Zoom that I know about. I share screen, everybody else shares screens, so we get a chance to look at each other's poetry in a certain different way, and it's that like that. And so those are the two biggest things I'm doing besides all my other events with the Poetry Global Network, which I'm sure you've heard about, and Finn and Frog and a bunch of other characters are all part of. Thank you all.
I love that. It just even the description, Finn and Frog and all those characters, like, yeah, sounds like it, and also that sounds cool, as Finn Bell was telling us, the whole screen sharing thing is definitely fish binding it. I personally love to see the way poets and writers create their words on the page as well. So I do appreciate this because it's always interesting, the difference between performance, reading from the page to the stage. And so this gets to merge the two. And I'm always fascinated with line breaks and other interesting elements too. So that's something that brings to the table. Definitely worth exploring more of. Cool. So thank you, Mark, for joining us. Hold the guitar, sans guitar today. All right, we're gonna go ahead and continue, beautiful people. We're gonna go ahead and new performer today. Next up, we have a spoken word artist, poet, singer, and plus size model out of Moss Point, Mississippi. Let's go ahead and welcome to the stage Ebony, the goddess. What's up, Ebony? Welcome. Great to have you on the show. Hello. Are you still with
Thanks
us?
for having me. How you guys?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you. Welcome.
Y'all too. All right. Try to figure out what piece to do because everybody else was so great. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and do one of my more popular pieces entitled Grandma's Hands. Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She said, baby, grandma understands that you really love that man. Put yourself in Jesus' hands, grandma's hands. There was always something special about my grandmother's hands. It was as if anything she touched became instantly infused with love, and everybody loved my grandmother. She was the apple of our eyes. It was her nature. And she used it to plant a garden of us. Seeds were even sown into her food. I mean, you could literally taste our family tree embedded within her pies. But her sweet potato pies, those were my favorite. And I remember her love was deeply rooted in God, careful to harvest the purest love for our Heavenly Father. And I remember that she had praying hands, right? How she used those hands to dig down in the dirt to ask God to protect the loved ones. I remember how she'd get down on bended knee and call his name daily. How she'd speak Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I remember after she finished how she'd raise her hands to the heavens and shout, thank you, Lord. Grandma's hands soothe the local unwed mothers. Grandma's hands use the ache sometimes and swear. Grandma's hands used to lift her face and tell her, she'd say, baby, grandma understands that you really love that man. Put yourself in Jesus' hands, grandma's hands. Those were the good old days. But Ma's gone on now. And somehow, every time I look down at my hands, I still see Ma's hands. For the same hands that prepared dinner every Sunday has now prepared us the table before me in the presence of my enemies. For every inch of my body that's been graced by her hands have leaded me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Covered me as he restored my soul. Thou anoints my head with oil every night as her hands greased my scalp before bedtime. My cup runneth over from the faucet water that still hydrates my soul from Ma's peace cup. She is my bridge of love, safely leading me back to the hands of my Savior, my earthly connections to heaven's gates as he leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. For the layer of love she prayed for still resides within the soil of my soul. Ma's gone on now. And somehow God knew that of all the things she left behind, that it would be her hands that I needed most to find my way back to him. Back to his hands, back to his love. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Grandma's hands used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hands picked me up each time I fell. Grandma's hands, boy, they really came in handy. She say, Patty, don't you whoop that boy. What you wanna spank him for? He didn't drop no apple gore, but I don't have grandma anymore. When I get to heaven, I'll look for grandma's hands. Thank y'all. Yeah, have a good night.
Really, really quick before you leave. Oh, look, you got a graphic design there. How can people follow? By the way, welcome. This is like just one of many wormholes they can follow to many similar spaces where you can perform in the future. How can people follow you online and support your work if they choose to do so?
I can be found on all social media platforms as Ebony the Goddess. Is spelled EBONYTHAGODDESS. And on TikTok, I believe it's Ebony the Goddess with the number 1 at the end. Everything else should be just Ebony the Goddess. I do have an album out. It is available on all streaming platforms entitled Ebony Speaks. And I'm working on my next album, Ebony Listens. So if y'all like it, definitely check me out. And I could be reached on all those platforms, also for booking if anyone was interested in having me on a platform as well. So thank y'all for having me.
All right, lovely. No, thanks for joining us. And please share any links as well that we can follow. And as people are iterating in the comments, I want to reiterate those things that please come back. You're welcome anytime. Ebony the Goddess. All right, welcome. Plus, we don't get too many people from Mississippi joining us, so that's great. I always love getting to travel all around the country for these shows. In fact, we're going to go ahead and head up to New York, Brooklyn for our next performer. They are self-published author of 2 poetry books available at Barnes & Noble. Plus, their birthday is coming up this Sunday. That's great. Birthday week, get to celebrate. Let's go ahead and welcome to the show. Also, I believe their first time here. Let's go ahead and welcome Symbolic Night to the show. What's up?
Hey, y'all. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope all is well. Got a poem or 2 for you guys. I aired my grievances to the ancestral spirits and still drifted away. Channeling trauma and its bearings to bear came my own emotions. I am depression, suppressed into this here poetry. The monarchy of scab wounds printing, your shadow work with the finger trails of deceit, masquerading your piece of the skeletons you can't keep in the closet. Sorrow, trick or treat death for meet and greet and return great poetry, eulogy metaphors to stain degrading headspace like plastic, voiding the inevitable, crowding your domains decor, haunted mansion with the room for expansion, bear my trauma, to haunt others I'm dressed in pity. As all year round, walking dead with a living emotion cast into making a smile to bring you comfort, cursed into creating your false fantasy, then we are okay. Hocus pocus, losing focus, I'm the Midas touch. The mildest touch to your pain, the reality burns in, twitches, bedridden to mental stitches. Black in America, that's a Halloween town. I want death. Now isn't that spooky? Corrupted by Casper ghosts and hollow souls that I'm the white man's groupie. That reaps green plaques of our skin pavements with our own, realizing that my life's expectancy is expired death. Past shipment, I'm the doubt. Chasing old glory, Maya's theme song playing, mask on present smile. For my past hatred to a present set. Watch me embrace the misery. See my knife, it talks fire. You want to see a killing joke? Like clowns do a knife talk, who's the clown now? My anxiety is when cycle walks stepping over my shadows. I guess the work boxed me in, at least the pain got wiser. I'm switching channels like a manic. Playing songs, saying my name 3 times, I'll be the candy man. Channeling these premonitions of a final destination. Conjuring the shallow feeling of a quiet place. Leave my body with no trace to purging of an identity. Once named Kyle, now named symbolic. I am a split entity. Let it face expression in the mirror. What if I told you? These are the thoughts of all of us. The only difference is I can't get out of the spooking feeling, reminded that each day feels like a horror. 1 second. And the second piece. The text said, I waited for you to talk to me, to tell me what was going on. And you said nothing, so what was I supposed to do? So I unfriended you like I did with the bunch. It's not personal. Sometimes friendships ended and she understood that. But what I don't get is why would my grief be the reason of you leaving me? If you understood why I'm at fault, can I ask anyone? Has anyone ever cut you off because you wouldn't vent to them about your grief? I didn't know I was obligated to deliver trauma. And I hope that this reaches your ears, that it sends chills to your body. I didn't know you were a paid therapist. I didn't know trauma bonding was in the contract. Real friends. What does that even mean? Because recently I've been told that real friends open up to you when one is feeling down. But what about the days you don't know how to? Did you ever take into consideration that when my lips unseal all my scars, it makes it sting further? When opening up, it only tightens the grip life has on you. What happens when the more I reveal, the less air I have for myself? Real friends can see what one can't exceed. I shouldn't have to explain how grief has made me shy, how I struggle to get by. Real friends don't pressure you to release pain. I need patience, not a time to place this. Real friends don't tell you you're not a burden to then dismiss you for not revealing that you're hurting. The text tells tones. Maybe I need to step out of character and space out this feeling of disappointment and meaningless anger and laugh it away to see the 3 dots dancing in my messages to become an ellipses, skipping my emotions for you to justify my grief as a way to disconnect from me. As if you knew the cure to death. Like if I whispered an ounce of my pain, you type a pound of my lost one's flesh back into a living state. As if it's fair to build the deaths on my mind, leaving headstones in your messages, when the only way I can give you directions of my emotions is through my eyes puffed from constant eulogies. You used me. You needed a bag to put your feelings into, and assumed I needed to weight it with my own, knowing that this sand can't hold my sadness, that it tends to pull me in quicker. Thank you all. That's all. Thank you all.
Yeah. How can we follow you online, man?
You can find me at symbolic_night. It's on Instagram. The night is to honor my grandfather. As you heard in the beginning, I have 2 books. Only have one that shown on me right now. This is called Indescribable. This is a picture of me. And the first book is called Symbolic Chambers. They're both on Barnes & Noble. And the second book is also, there's a ebook for it on Amazon. That's all I have right now. I'm working on my first album. I'm not sure when I'll have it, but I am working on my first album. And thank you for the space and opportunity. And if you like what you heard, you can follow me. And yeah, thank you.
Yo, awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I love it. Yeah, same thing. Any links that you have, go and put them there in the chat, and that's we can click on that and follow you. I'll try and also get here to follow you on our page here. Great having you, man. I love the power behind your voice, man. I would look forward to that album. So definitely got to follow to see the progress on that for sure. And that's the really cool covers too on the poem, the poetry. Alrighty then, guys. Yeah, today's a weird day. Like I said, we're not online, but this will be posted online later. Again, if you're watching this, hey, thanks for tuning in. But we're going to go ahead and continue onward and come back to El Paso, EPTX, El Chuco, Chuco Town, and Mr. Monday Night. You're on deck. I mean, you're not on deck. You're up to bat. I grew up playing baseball. How did I mess up that metaphor? Damn. All right, yo, we got Kit in the house, Mr. Monday Night. Good to have you, man.
Well, there's new rules, Richie. There's pitch clock. The bases look like pizza boxes now. It's all kind of weird, but I guess it's for the best. But hi, hello, good evening, hello. And to all of you in the future, good morning, good afternoon, whatever y'all got. Maybe you're on that new time. I don't know. Let's see. 2 of mine, and then a cover poem, and then the litany of stuff. This one's actually new. Robin Schofield, who you heard from early, and it's still weird for me to use her government name because she's my mom, hosted Tumblewords on Saturday, and I got this out of it. We'll see if it's something. Some of my dreams are bad ideas. I safely get to watch them play out like I would watch a sun bear clamber up his tree at a zoo. Some of my dreams are warnings. Despite the topic being danger, they are staid and matter of fact, like a training video at a chemical factory. I try to play it safe. I try to encourage my dreams to be slightly altered memories, deleted scenes and storyboards of a past that was, more or less. But I can only buy what's on offer. The concierge at the Hotel of Nightmares keeps smiling, and his eyes keep doing other things. They're not even unified in their mandate. One is rolling to the ceiling. If the world is like a magic eye, as it might be sometimes, he can see all of them at once. He offered once to let me die. I negotiated no pain, no blood, and watched myself in the dream get electrocuted by a faulty headset. There was a total black. It went inside my mouth. There was a total silence. When I woke up, I was startled, dismayed and untrusting of the life after death. Sometimes the world now devolves into clicks and fuzz like a UHF television dial being twisted out of malice, and I long again for the silence of the tomb, which I had for about 5 minutes. I wouldn't want to stay. I would use it to orient myself. It would be like a factory reset that turns annoyances back into novelties. But the archetypes of anti-drug PSAs are imprinted on me. And the concierge in the Nightmare Hotel is too eager to give me what I want. Yes, and here's a very old one. Old shit. I know we had a little talk in the green room about political poetry, and always calls to mind Kurt Vonnegut's quote about the anti-war movement having all the effect of a cream pie being dropped from a ladder. And this is sort of along those lines, I suppose. It is hard to be over the top when the globe itself keeps flipping. It is hard to keep perspective when nothing will sit still. The world doesn't have to listen to me. Nobody does. The world will never, has never before, bowed before a collective will, much less the individual screaming the way a flea might. And it is readying for the great shaking, casting us off. It appears to follow systems we devised, but that is little more than a courtesy, like asking after a coworker's child by calling it the little one to hide that you never learned their name. So what should we do in these early last days? Should I be among the street preachers who one day will not only be right, but fashionable? Should I count the size of the Epiragon until I run out of numbers? Busy work. Is this all just busy work? Since we cannot rebuild the world in our image or reshape it with our tools, then maybe the job of the artist is to be irritating. The hair falling across the politician's lip mid-speech. The non-fatal accident, grinding traffic to a halt. The puppet show will once again be in vogue, and will marvel at the marionette with no marionettist, reaching his odd bony hand to pluck his own invisible string. And the cover poem, patent pending. No, it's genuinely so cool that other people have taken that on. But tonight I want to read Having a Coke with You by Frank O'Hara. Having a Coke with You is even more fun than going to San Sebastian, Irun, Hendaye, Biarritz, Bayonne, or being sick to my stomach on the Traversa de Gracia in Barcelona. Partly because in your orange shirt, you look like a better, happier Saint Sebastian. Partly because of my love for you. Partly because of your love for yogurt. Partly because of the fluorescent orange tulips around the birches. Partly because of the secrecy our smiles take on before people and statuary. It is hard to believe when I'm with you that there can be anything as still, as solemn, as unpleasantly definitive as statuary when right in front of it, in the warm New York 4 o'clock light, we are drifting back and forth between each other like a tree breathing through its spectacles. And the portrait show seems to have no faces in it at all, just paint. You suddenly wonder why in the world anyone ever did. I look at you and I would rather look at you than all the portraits in the world, except possibly for the Polish writer, occasionally. And anyway, it's in the Frick, which thank heavens you haven't gone to yet, so we can go together for the first time. And the fact that you move so beautifully more or less takes care of futurism. Just as at home, I never think of the nude descending a staircase, or at a rehearsal, a single drawing of Leonardo or Michelangelo that used to wow me. And what good does all the research of the Impressionists do them when they never got the right person to stand near the tree when the sun sank? Or for that matter, Marino Marini, when he didn't pick the rider as carefully as the horse. It seems they were all cheated of some marvelous experience, which is not going to go wasted on me, which is why I'm telling you about it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Instagram, Kit Ran Away, Twitter, Kit Talk Sports. And it's a dying website, don't bother with it. Ko-fi.com/KitRen. Get a very weird belletristic essay about football. Get many of them, in fact. Find me on Facebook, easy enough. You can send me an email to communicate the old-fashioned way. You can drop something in PayPal, drop something in the tip jar via PayPal with my email. And, of course, the Tumble Words Project keeps tumbling along. You heard me refer to Robin's wonderful workshop about Charles Simic last week. This upcoming week, we have our friend from the swamps of Jersey, Nick Paleologos. And since Saturday is National Record Store Day, he'll have us all vibing to the vinyl, as it were. The week after that, local legend Ray Ramos will have something, a tie-in with his comic series, The Cryptidinals. And to close out National Poetry Month, your friend and mine, the hardest working man on the border, Richie Marrufo, will close us out with mixtape music. And yes, in a hybrid reading featuring the Tumble Words Project is in the works for Saturday evening at Genuine Reference Studios. And more on that as it develops. Back to you, Richie.
Whoops, hold on. Let's get there you go. Back in the spotlight. Yes, thank you, Kit, for sharing those. And yeah, as of now, we are planning a poetry month reading. We've been doing them online the last couple of years, but we're gonna dabble in a hybrid mic of our own. We are teaming up with a local music studio by the name of Genuine Reference Studios. So if you live in El Paso, join us in the physical location. It is a music studio on the west side of town. Like Kit said, more info forthcoming. So you can follow Bardware Open Mic Series and Tumble Words as soon as that's available. And we'll make an online sign up form for those of you who wish to read online. So that's going to be really cool. It's a great way to end out Poetry Month. A lot of you guys can share your 30 for 30 poems. Not all 30, but, do a select few. All right, let's go ahead and keep it going. We're going to head back to Brooklyn. And we have Messiah in the house. Thank you so much for your patience, by the way. I know East Coast, it's getting late, but I hope that, it's good to welcome to this space as well. Good to have you. Go and take it away. Happy Monday.
Hey, thanks. great to be here, and I enjoyed the poems that I've heard. They were really great. And I'd like to read 3 poems and then a cover, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. So this first poem is called This Love is an Elegy. Buried beneath impassive emotion, this love has become an elegy of our former expression, where hope has diminished to crawling reticence, transforming our sentiment into obscure violence, a glacial irresolution, an impalpable finale of agonizing soundlessness. Silence can heal wounds. Silence can also create them. What would you have to say to me? Your perception is scarred with inscrutable fragility, as I see only a continuous recantation of our absurdity, that I have loved only you, where before love and my approach had no arrested object, I had suffered only myself, and that you were a fable, a lucid enigma in your way that once permeated to upend dissension from myself, an open hand, a call toward redemption. Hold on, sorry. What was once faith pretends now endless inquiries into this false repose we've engendered and honed as affected union. Do you remember what it felt like to love me? Should I surrender to your faithless attempts at rapport? Are you slipping from me, attempting to conceal your loathing? Is all you spoken of love untrue? I know silence well, because I have learned to sit with my own, at turns tranquil and unnerving. I find now that I must face you with silence, for you would not hear me now. And as time lurches forward across all our lives, subtly yet ferociously, like a predatory animal, we have become perhaps a mere testament to love's semblance, for this is no real love, simply a trade of wills transposed with regret on the edge of the coldest winter, and I freeze to think of you. So here's the second one. It's called A Battle Cry of Consciousness. In a feverish reverie, my mind's dissolution has shattered the sky that once sheltered an ancient solitude and serenity. In the broken pieces of the heavens, a reflection into the liminal space between Earth and Eden, I see grace unfettered in the abyssal grasping of ferociously unstable thought, a plaintive reaching for amnesty to the advent that has birthed the devastation of my mind. It is in unmoored minds that we discover consciousness's more poisonous distinction, the agony of distraught dreaming, or being aware that the life you've created is as tender and insubstantial as your imagination at its most tenuous, confronting the face of truth, a staggering confrontation with the haggard and worn materials of life reserved on the edge of madness, dissolves the penetration of feeling in your waking life, a cause for restive despair, where self-loathing can no longer be articulated, but instead is felt with an unnerving silence that surmounts your expression, simmering and uncommunicative like a suppressed soul. You are aware that the mind is a vivid paradise below the stream of shadows, yet you see it buried in the confines of harrowing reproach, and to begin to approach yourself, you find that you must find beauty in grasping at darkness to alight the soul of solace, returning peace to rackless illusion. When I dream of love, I see no mortal design. When I dream of myself, I see oblique instability in splintered forms of self-posit. Is consciousness a battle cry of peace, or a torrid influx of intangible damage? Given the history of my mind state, I dare not say, but it seems, in my case, that consciousness is the perennial balance between resolution, where clarity obtains eloquence, and the strife of delusion, where the divine would come so close only to look on you with eyes of fervid cessation. In my mind, nothing happens without a reason. In my mind, reason finally transmutes to gnosis. In my mind, gnosis is in the mind of God. And arrested in fractured fallacy, liberation comes holistically, a universal mind where all is poetically and simply sewn together, bred in the light of creation, burned into the soul of each human being. Together we illumine the sound of heaven. It is the sound of innermost mind, carried by thought, past the illusory temptations of self and reason, past the omnipresent boundaries of madness and cognitive squalor, and into the rest of aeons, where dreams are the entry point to the idols of eternity and freedom. And here's the last one from me. It's called Gazing at You Across the Room. You are a certain fascination, a reprieve where fertility in the language of dreams takes root in an enigmatic knowledge of you espoused, like the serene mystery of being at its center. A mirage, perhaps, that I seem to feel you, the way my soul might respond to a haunting intuition of going home at last. To whom could I turn when this riotous demand for love must escape this violent quietude that is my hidden self, formed of dubious frustration, where I summon to love in parsimony your striking immediacy of form, gliding over the surface of my indecision? When this allusion to being that beauty sustains emanates from the faint attention in your eyes, seeming to bear the ambitions of love's character in the simple stimulus of lifting your head, to acknowledge the tempest of affection on the edge of your world, how do you conceive life in your way? Where does your world begin? To become a part of the faith arising from your undefinable smile, as I dither, I call to hope. I have seen you, Horus allure, of the earth without its secrets, of me, removed from the weight silence imposes, like an ocean of all depth and no surface. Your body is the cosmopolitan metaphysic of life, from all your oceans and skies, from your eyes, like stars just begat by divine mastery, to your feet that walk wayward miles of only depth to reach me, lies essential nature birthed to transparency. And to know life, your life, I must abandon what temerity to remain solely within myself remains. I must come into myself, here in this blessed moment, in which your grace in the stride of goddesses comes into my devout and ancient reverie. Now as I approach you, this grace of your eccentric presence becomes the blossom of consciousness, and your radiance as the abode of heaven's arc shatters what remains achingly still and piously remote within me. I approach with my secrets coming undone and ask your name. And as I do, your dance in the elegant stages of being becomes the beatitude of a spell, casting love in the place of illusion, trusting that a transcendent ascent will have its place between us. Across the ages we've met, here in the crucible of destiny, are being held in the nurturing promise of union embraced by love herself. Faint are your eyes, encapsulating heaven and earth, looking in to see who I truly am. And I wanted to do a cover from Pablo Neruda, from the book 20 Love Poems and the Song of Despair. This poem is called Body of a Woman. Body of a woman, white hills, white thighs. You look like a world lying in surrender. My rough peasant's body digs in you and makes the sun leap from the depth of the earth. I was alone like a tunnel. The birds fled from me, and night swamped me with its crushing invasion. To survive myself, I forged you like a weapon, like an arrow in my bow, a stone in my sling. But the hour of vengeance falls, and I love you. Body of skin, of moss, of eager and firm milk. Oh, the goblets of the breast. Oh, the eyes of absence. Oh, the roses of the pubis. Oh, your voice, slow and sad. Body of my woman, I will persist in your grace, my thirst, my boundless desire, my shifting road, dark riverbeds where the eternal thirst flows and weariness follows and the infinite ache. Thank you.
Ooh, great piece there. And also, of course, loved your originals.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, coming. I said in the chat, but you got some erudite flow right there. How can people support and follow you online if they wish to do so?
I'll put my information in the chat. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll put it in the chat.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. All right, thank you, Messiah. Join us from Brooklyn. Glad to have you. And as always, well, you're welcome back anytime. All right, I know it's, sometimes we call this a late show, so we're trying to get people on. We got plenty of performers left. Thank you, Messiah. I'll definitely make sure to follow because I definitely want to hear more of what you got in your words. Cool. All right. Let's see. We had some people who couldn't make it. That's cool. We're gonna keep going. In fact, we're gonna head to Washington, D.C., where we have the one, the only, yeah, you know him. It's Ed Poetastic up on the stage. Happy Monday, my friend. What's up?
Ah, my friend, to the very end. Your poetry transcends. Sorry for my voice. I don't have a choice. So I don't want to suffer. I don't want the show must go on. I don't want to suffer a pre-long. Hello, everyone. My name is Ed Potasco and feeling fantastic. Please get in touch with enjoy my rhyme for the sublime. Okay, I got 3 poems, so you know they're gonna rhyme. My first chime is called Grieving Gun. A bullet of a name, a foggy mind, common sense tossed in flames, innocent corpses left behind. A pool of crimson, a flood of emotions, a frigid hungry gun, names tossed in the ocean, a crying monster, a trail of blood, remorse from a butcher, stings from a billion suns, empty flaming hearts, a river of tears, guilt shooting darts, the sirens are here, a collage of faces, time stands still, dark empty spaces, the inhumane chills, screams of justice, sounds of deaf ears, ignorance is bliss, sadness draws near. Memories in twilight, words left unsaid, darkness in hindsight, regrets left dead. Tears in the streets, lowing with angels, bodies covered in concrete, feet full of anvils, lives taken away, coffins become full, days of decay, one bloodthirsty fool. Funerals on display, ceremonies in black, mean emotional heart attacks, crying hearts crack. Clouds of gray, downpour of rain, echoes of disarray, collars of pain. Flowers on altars, many grieving families, legends of slaughter, many deep sympathies. Thank you. I got this is another one. This is called Lyrical Butterflies. Sorry about that. Here it is. Oh, music, what can I say about you? You make me happier than a fish swimming in the deep blue. All music is harmony to all our ears. It extinguishes our darkest fears and leaves us in delightful tears. Music can send fire to our hearts or a big warm hug. It can kill the inner traumas or the toxic bugs. Music gives us a safe space. It gives a vibrant room to elevate, concentrate, and meditate with extra grace. Music gives us a nostalgia in a more surreal time. It reminds us we are aligned, our physical and mental prime. Music can raise oceans, destroy mountains, and set off volcanoes. It's hard to believe just from listening to a few notes. Music can make you move and groove a billion times. It's deep in our roots, kind of like these rhymes. Music gives us a moment to express ourselves in this ugly yet beautiful world. It can inspire and teach any little boy or girl. Music is art in its own unique and luminous form to break out of our boring dorms. It could be a radiant sun or a chaotic storm, but listen in order to transform. Music is the air we breathe and the food we eat. It is the senses that freeze our bodies and burn our feet. Music is a performance that's happening inside our minds. Actually, it's like poetry. You can feel the energy going up our spines. Music is, wait, don't just take my word for it, but put on your headphones or earbuds and immerse yourself in the musical blue. Let the notes go through and around you in order to get lost inside your whimsical cocoon. Thank you. And I got this one. This is called Bare Naked Truth for Poetry Month. Do, 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 do. We're exposed poets. We're standing naked every day. Oh, come on, you know it. One shades any day. You know it, no denying it. Our emotion on full display. You have to quickly admit we all write bare essays. Our words can really hit. Flush out the inner gray. Yes, we're naked. Don't quit. Shine your golden ray. I know some feel sick. Show the world the way. Hope it can really click. Chew away the hardened clay. Keep crushing those bricks. Help whoever going astray. Perform those emotional tricks. Make the inner trauma delay. Give backbone for those pricks. Make the thunderstorms decay. Chain and form the skeptics. Acceptance. No one betrays. Support that man or chick. Unshackle the cause obey. Make your personalized stick. Give advice in life's disarrays. Remove those small annoying ticks. Bare naked insight you betray. You're naked. Everything is okay. Thank you.
Man.
Don't worry, I'm gonna drink some tea and some ginger and some honey, so I won't find too funny.
All right, I love that. I love that. Yo, how can people follow and support you as always, man?
Oh, you can follow me or support me as coming to this wonderful open mic that makes our Monday nights a delight in the wonderful, fantastic, or musical spotlight. But if you want to follow me, plus for free, my Facebook is Eddie Foreman and my IG is Eddie Foreman 92. Remember, if the mic is right, I'll be there to shine my fantastic insight. If you send me a question, you take guess. The answer is yes. Hope you stay safe, healthy, and blessed. Never stop spewing the wonderful words outside your chest. And now start being, doing, and feeling your best.
Orders, okay. Drink some tea and chill out for a bit. I'm always happy to have you here. But you don't ever feel obligated too, okay? If you gotta like rest your voice, that's cool too. Like we're good, all right. But Ed, we love you, man. Take care of yourself. Let's see. Next up, we got a couple more performers tonight, guys. So right now we're gonna head to Louisville, Kentucky, where we have a Frog Corpse up next on the mic. Hey, what's on, Frog? All right, good to see you. Welcome back to the mic.
Earth Eater. I whispered into her heart to breathe a little life. No words sparked a fire. She was dead already by this time. I built a bonfire in the backyard and wrote a letter to my love in hopes the ink would burst to blood so she'd rise up from the smudge. At the tuft of the tree, I placed the message there. I let the mirth eat the gift so she can read while she's down there. We're alone in our travels. They'll say we'll meet in the end. My loneliness got the best of me, so I tapped on her coffin lid. Descend, descend, loathe the waiting. I would follow her right in. To where that tunnel travels for her, I'd walk to hell and back again. This next one is aptly titled Inauguration Day. I'm just scanning for it quick. Bear with me. Almost there. There we go. Waking to new hands passing torches, snakes flushed out of the garden. Poetry is now anchored. It inaugurates loudly, emboldened and screaming. America, the battered and beautiful. We are its voice. We are the voices taken too lightly, igniting the ways toward progress. Our nation will digress for a time, misplacing its hate from a place people blindly believed in, sending up smoke signals and hope, pushing the rats back into their holes, and the changing of the guard. There is work to be done. Lastly, Pale pearls from a purple pulse. I must solicit, through the influence of your honorable body, ascertainable by alluring enticement, top some mountain in a dream so lofty. And does thy heaven know this name? Yes, it previously had the honor. Alas, would hell then grant an introductory? Assuredly with the greatest pleasure tomorrow. This garden like a lady fair, lay trimmed where its waters rise. Its fountain spouts a watered wish while releasing an opal shower. Eddies of smoke purloin my prayer from the unendurable oppression of the sigh. O'er ebon dress where bosoms rest, brushing through a painted thought. With lurid gaze along twilight tide, reminiscent of winter when love arrived. Passions pour from an uncommon spring, appalled when that love hath dried. And to open sky I shut on youthful legs which refuse to close, palpitable pounding on purple pulse, gasm by the whisper of morning's want. Pale pearls drop by pulling grass, while rabbit bouncing trots on stones. Clamorous ticks from the moaning lint, hourly hands to kill a clock. Cerements unveiling bride, or rather a worm that would not die, emaciated and grotesquely hewn from the apple of my eye. And does this devil approach thee? No, hell rejects the offer. Alas, will heaven now accept thine arms? At the wake, oh, so surely not. I got one. Is that cool? This is called Below Zero. As hell comes, we greet grandmother. By biting frost, I greet older brothers. Huldra hands, leshen tanto, uller tongue, at point below zero. White ravna perched, stretching back willows drawn. Harrowed hands grip muddied fields by the piercing skies that forests fall from. Rumpa-pum-pum in a narrow cloud. A thump-pum-pum, another one struck down. Distant ferried their screams. Cold floorboards rouse young fragile souls which cling to the ashen poundings by old man's child, blotted by Arctic scene, viewed in the round, descending arrowed teeth, amphoric beast, a little red will spout. The woodsmen and their screams, touted in the old writings of illusion, must spell slither spear under corride and ursa. Ignorance nails the fleeting, troika cedars pool, an age of yesterday consumed in the misting east by apple mole, a yeti with the ink, making a mountain out of you, as solstice sucks the yawning void, turning red from green to blue, near the rime of the thawing, where Heimdall holds old Hadrian line, the walls of thunder crowding, as a ladder of bodies are piling.
Everyone, thank you so much. Excellent poetry as always. I really love your delivery and reading as well. There's also something very ASMR today, but I get it. How can people follow and support you online really quick if you wish to do so? Yeah.
At Frog Corpse on Instagram is where you can find me, or just punch in Frog Corpse and I'm sure I'll pop up on social media somewhere. Send a message. Say what's up. Thank you.
Today. Frog Corpse, everyone. FROGG. All right. We are gonna go from Kentucky to El Paso, back to El Paso, actually. Our next performer has been here before, but it's been a little while. So a little bit of a refresher. They have some poetic lyricism. They do have some inspirational hip hop albums out on all platforms where you can find music, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes. So it's great to welcome back to the show, Grayhead Kid. Always a pleasure, and glad you found us again. It's been a little while. But
My
go and take
pleasure.
it away.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. How you guys doing?
Great.
Sorry to come so late, but I love
Glad to have you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, glad to be back. Glad to be here. I love the guys poetry right before me. I came at the last minute, so the poetry I wanted to read, I won't. But it's more like I said, a poetic lyricism. It was a rap that I did a while ago, but I changed it. I'll change it up for the dynamics of the show and just make it a little, as I'm gonna say it as I'm writing it. And it's kind of long, but I won't say more than one. I'll just say this one. Listen, death is coming closer than we think. Don't believe? You better open your eyes. Surprise, but don't blink. You got God, you got Satan, better choose who you rolling with. You should have been chose, but you was too busy blowing it. This life ain't nothing but a pass through. Disciple the matter. Pick one, John, Judas, and Matthew. The ex tried to tell us about it. Whether higher or lower, he dropped Jews down the shine is over. No more Noah. The ark ain't gonna save us today. God gave Jesus. He's the water that was living away. And if you pray with the direct, the elect is coming. No more folding of the hands and humming the beats drumming. They laugh at truth, cause the lie's more appealable, cool. When the heat start blowing, you feel the real, you fool. That skin that we love living in, unhealable. Mesh full of flesh, soul is peelable. Guess not. You heard right, the light was too bright. So you stayed in the dark of things, looking for sight. Listen, man, woman, child, whoever you are, you call yourself, you better connect to brighter stars. The alignment of fake and real intertwined. Interwoven by a mass appeal, it's by design. And if the knees ain't getting the point yet, respect the master. Go ahead and buckle before disaster. Nah, it's not a threat. It's a promise on the menu. Big plate that's holding our fate in the venue. Nice suit and dress. You trying to finesse the red carpet on the walk? Forget about it. It's chalk up. The outline is already made. Coffin already laid. Dead paid while we lay in the shade. But the sun is on the beam. You know who's on the team. I hope it's you and me. Wake up. It's not a dream. It's coming. You can't run fast enough to hide. Better abide in this moment. The truth stopped the slide. Yeah, it's all downhill, but still look up. You was on chill. Agenda got melted trying to duck. That's a good thing. Some fly better in water, float free, while the rings were lax in God's order. Yeah, work still needed to be done. Soul standing still, stirring the pot. Open flames is too hot. Always tempted to touch and clutch the wrong things. Queens and kings sounds just meant until it isn't. The follower of righteousness is where it's at. Once you understand the fact, then the crowns can reattach to God. Now ain't nothing odd about it. We're so caught up in this devilish mix, we can't shout it. Better open up your mouth and lungs and sing along. It's a new song. You ain't that strong to stay wrong. Repent. It only sounds crazy in the flesh. Let your heart do the listening. Your ears will detest. If you pass the next grade to turn to the proper fit, I assure you this world ain't it. It's just a pit. Get out. Get out to get in. F's in. Let's begin again. You want to win? You got to risk losing something. Otherwise, you only standing for nothing and fake pumping. You bluffing while the turkey's in the oven for Thanksgiving. But everybody can be taken away without a vision. That's facts. This ain't time to relax. Get up and stay up. Don't forget to pay your tax. That was it.
Oh, awesome, man! Thank you so much. And if people want to follow you online as well and just keep up with your work, how can they do so?
Yeah, you can. If you look at Grayhead Kid on mostly all the platforms, because I think the only one that it's not on may be well, Instagram itself won't. It'll play the music, but it won't play the full album. But if you look on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, any of that, it's all on there, and it's different. I think I have like 4 different albums on there. I would behoove anybody to listen. It's not necessarily religious, it is spiritual. And I do talk about God a lot, but only in an inspirational light. I don't really do it to offend or to be friend. I just kind of like say what I feel in the songs, and it's one of them things where when you listen to it, the point that I'm making is kind of things that's going on in the world, but it's not necessarily of the world, if you know what I'm talking about.
Right on, man. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you again. I know you've been here before, so you don't be a stranger. We're always here Monday nights.
No,
Good
for
to see you.
sure.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Good. Thank you guys. God bless.
Oh, great kid. I love it. Yeah, I was just checking out your YouTube channel. I see all the albums there. Definitely gonna follow on Spotify as well. Because also I appreciate the acapella. A lot of when we do have a lot of musicians or rappers to come on, when they strip away the music, it's just kind of nice to hear the language and the words
Oh,
and the flow.
of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
So
Because if you rap into a beat, then sometimes the feel is not the same. But
yeah.
if you write something and then you rap to a beat, because mostly, to be honest with you, I started with poetry. Well, I started with rap, but it was kind of intertwined with poetry. But
Oh
I
yeah.
just love poetry. I just love the element of words put together and in all forms,
It's
whatever
all
it's talking
expression.
about, yeah, in the
Yeah.
whole expression, because it's each individual's expression. And just like I said, the guy before, I can understand everything he was saying, and the intensity of his heartfelt words, of how they come out, no matter how neutralized they seem, as far as like, one monotone way, but it's always an underlying meaning for everything that everybody says. And you know uh words mean a lot.
For sure, man. Yes. Thank you for that. Awesome, man.
No, appreciate it.
Cool. All right, we got two more performers left in the night. We're gonna go from El Paso to West Coast, and we're gonna check in to our Chicano poet out of Los Angeles. That's right. Earlier, our homie Messiah was spitting some erudite knowledge. Oh, that's me.
that's me.
Time to drop some esoteric knowledge. Here's Tez.
Competition, man. The competition's stepping up. Can you hear me? Give me an amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I have some storytelling and a carrot, a song. Let's see if I can get my cursor to work for me. This piece is a little skit. Just on the heads up, folks can catch me on Instagram under Gashes 2019. I have this little storytelling titled "The Speculative Transgenerational Trauma Reconciliation Bureau." A very light title. Fade in, Interior Council Committee Meeting Room Day. Mr. Canes Latrans is a wise and experienced elder with a long white beard and piercing eyes. He is dressed in traditional regalia fit for a ceremony. He holds a staff with a curve that completes into a circle. Mr. Latrans is flanked by Corvus Corax and Didelphis virginiana. Corvus Corax is a clever and resourceful, always quick with a joke or a clever comeback. He is also a bit of a trickster, and he loves to play pranks on others. However, he is also a loyal friend, and he's always there to help Mr. Latrans when he needs it. The Delphis Virginiana is a good listener and is always willing to offer a helpful hand. She is wise and compassionate, and she's always willing to offer advice or mediation. She is a valuable member of Mr. Latrans' team, and she plays an important role in helping to lead the Transgenerational Reconciliation Bureau. She is a reminder that even the smallest person can make a big difference, and she's a source of hope and inspiration for all who know her. Korak's wit and intelligence helps Latrans to think outside the box, while Virginiana's calm demeanor helps to keep Mr. Latrans grounded. Bailiff opens the door and welcomes the community to take a seat. Bailiff, please come on in and grab some snacks and traditional offerings from the intertribal cafeteria. Mr. Latrans will convene the Speculative Transgenerational Reconciliation Bureau in a couple of moments. Mr. Latrans begins the meeting. Canes Latrans. Good morning. Please join us. I would like my stalwart companions to join me in standing up. Everybody in the crowd joins in standing up. Those who don't stand up are called to order by the bailiff. Corax. You're all welcome to pray in your first languages along with us. Typically, we like to give thanks with words before all things. Canes Latrans. Yahame o Yahke to Welowan, to Lohliwan, Nehtiotihuacan Ompa, o Kipewaltihke Tonal Otzintli. It was our grandfathers and our grandmothers that were upon Tenochtitlan. They started to move the first energy. Ompa Okasik, Iolotzi, Wewetiotzin, Ompa Ishik, Tonantzin, Ompa Oyoli, Tlamanilistli. There at the umbilical place where the first fire was lit, there where the old fire came to be and the first offerings were laid. Teotihuacan, Walektok, To Shiktemekayot, Ompa, Omo, Tlacatilihke, Xochime, Nohmotlacatili, Tohuel, Tonantzin, Cuac, Nanahualtzin, Onoyoltemac, Ixte, Intli, Omotlacatili, Mesli, Cuac, Tesixtecatzin, Ohmoyoltemac. This is the umbilical place of our people. From there, the first flowers came to be. From the fire, the sun came out when Nanahuatzin offered his life. From that fire, the moon came out when Texistecat offered his life. Nehua ti Masewalme, that is why we are Masewales, to be deserving of the sacrifices of those who came before us. The crowd finishes their prayers and are instructed to sit down. The Delphis Virginiana. Just wanted to remind folks that we are gathered here under the authority of the ordinance of Bureau of Historical Transgenerational Trauma Reconciliation that was signed in the year of 2037. A clandestine clique of MAGA motors managed to sneak into the meeting and began to yell all of the descendants of the transgenerational trauma, mega motors. You want triggers? Here's a whole bunch. We conquered you. You're already dead. Your ancestors were weak. We will finish you off soon. The bailiff calls in backup on his radio. Bailiff, dispatch 10-4. We need backup. We have a code January 6. Copy. He manages to rustle up the motors and gets them out the door with arrival of backup. The chair and crowd is triggered, but not dissuaded from their purpose. Bailiff, you need to leave this room now. Canes Latrans. Tlasokamati Nokniwan. Thank you, my friends. The specter of the colonial subject remains with us and continues to re-traumatize us. I ask that we all take a deep breath through our noses and exhale through our mouths. Let's breathe with intention. Let us be good and be in good mind and in good heart. Latran sits down and Mr. Korak steps up to read the preambles. Corbex. Transgenerational historical trauma refers to the emotional and psychological impact of traumatic experiences that have been passed down through generations, often affecting individuals and communities who have experienced historical oppression, such as colonization, slavery, and genocide. Mr. Korak steps back, and the Delphis steps up and continues. The Delphis Virginiana. Stopping transgenerational historical trauma is a complex and ongoing process that requires collective effort and a long-term commitment. Finally, Mr. Canes Latran steps forward and fiercely enumerates the necessary sustained plan for reconciliation. Canes Latran. Our transgressors and ourselves must acknowledge that trauma. We must educate them, ourselves and others, provide support, resources, empower individuals and communities, tribes and nations, promote symmetrical reconciliation and healing overall. Stopping transgenerational historical trauma requires a comprehensive and sustained effort. By working together, individuals and communities can break the cycle of trauma and build a more just and equitable future. The crowd remained very quiet and still. A silent pause remains until Mr. Latrans lifts his gaze back at the crowd. Candace Latrans. I'd like to conclude with the agency prayer. This prayer has evolved from the communities and the individuals that we have worked in the past. Would you, Miss Delphis, honor us? She quickly stands up and meekly begins the recitation, the Delphis Virginiana. This is the agency prayer. Grant me the peace to accept the choices I cannot control, the strength to choose the things I can, and the insight to distinguish between the two. Fade out. All right. I think. All right, let's go to the last part of this. So today was along with my piece, and I didn't mean it to happen the way it did, but from where our buddy Mr. Frog Corpse is from, we had a lot of interesting things happening with the reinstatement of one of the folks that was ejected at a pure tyrancy. So it was a good day, and folks were working on this song, so I figured I continue it, a little bit of it here, because it was lining up with some of my work. So. This light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Hide it under the GOP. No. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under the GOP. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under the GOP. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Won't let the Santas blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. I won't let the Santas blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. 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 Let it shine till justice comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine till justice comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine till justice comes. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. All right, so that was a good day today. Didn't have to use my AK, so we're good.
Amen. All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm reading up on Jones marching blocks away and everyone singing This Little Light of Mine. I missed that part. I saw the reinstatement. Thank you, Tez, for that. And as always, where can people follow and support you online?
So folks can follow me on Instagram under Gaseous 2019. Pick up a copy of my book, I'm Not Your Chihuahua, off of Amazon. Also, I submitted the slippery semiotic subject into the 1 minute play contest that they have in New York. So I had to strip it down to bare naked knuckles, and we'll see if it gets picked. Totally, it's very different than what most people usually submit. So we'll see if it gets picked. It's rather different. And other than that, I think just writing like crazy. I did another piece today, but I'll save it for next week.
I like that. Here we go, our Monday night. This is our Monday night online open mic. Taking back Mondays, of course. This is one of the few times that we haven't streamed it live, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties. But by the time you're watching this, obviously we've fixed it and put this video online. So thank you for everyone who has tuned in, and thank you for your patience, every single performer. And those of you who wanted to watch live on Monday, hopefully we'll be back to regular schedule next week and regular format. All right, as we often do, it's baseball season. It is the bottom of the ninth, and we're in a sticky situation, and we got to get out of this. So we're going to go ahead and go to the bullpen and call upon the right-hander. That's right. It's time to bring in the closer. Insert theme song. Let's go ahead and bring in Dan the Man, the one, the only, a genre unto himself. What's up, Dan? How you doing tonight? Yo.
All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, can you still hear me now?
We got you, Dan.
Yeah.
All right. How's I doing tonight? So, let me read. All right, let me read a couple of word love posts for grants in Mexico, and I quote. Acabándose la plata, el amor se desbarata. Love is undone once the money is gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Busca mujer por lo que valga, no has de escorco solo por la nalga. Choose a woman for her worth, not just for her girth behind. Weird. All right. Es triste amar sin ser amado, pero es más triste acostarse sin haber cenado. Unrequited love is sad, but it's sadder to go to bed on an empty stomach. It's true. Okay. Kevin, one more. El árbol para ser perfecto a menester ser discreto. A perfect love is a discreet love. Yep. Okay. Words of love, priopos, romantic Mexico. Okay. And I'm gonna do 4 of Swans by Oliver. All right. We got some perfect meaning. Something for National Poetry Month. All right. Page 21, the poet dream of the classroom. I dreamed. I stood up in class and I said aloud, "Teacher, why is algebra important?" "Sit down," he said. Then I dreamed. I stood up and I said, "Teacher, Teacher, I'm weary of the turkey that we have to draw every fall. May I draw a fox instead?" "Sit down," he said. Then I dreamed. I stood up once more and I said, "Teacher, my heart is falling asleep and it wants to wake up. It needs to be outside." "Sit down," he said. Okay. April, like this one. Page 6. I wanted to speak at length about the happiness of my body and the delight of my mind, for it was April night, a full moon, and but something in itself, or maybe from somewhere other said, "Not too many words, please." In the muddy shallows, the frogs are singing. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do one more. The poet dreams the mountain, page 31. Sometimes I grow weary of the days with all their fits and starts. I want to climb some old gray mountain, slowly taking the rest of my lifetime. To do it, resting often, sleeping under the pines or above them on the unclogged rocks. I want to see how many stars are still in the sky that we have smothered for years now, a century at least. I want to look back at everything, forgiving it all, and peaceful, knowing the last thing there is to know. All that urgency, not what the earth is about. Silent the trees, their poetry being on of themselves only. I want to take slow steps and think appropriate thoughts. In 10,000 years, maybe a piece of the mountain will fall. Yep. That's what we say about National Poetry Month. Yep. Yeah, talk about poetry in the classroom, dreamed in the classroom in the month of April, and a poet wants to climb the mountains. And that is Swan by Mary Oliver. Yep. Okay. All right. Probably in less than 2 weeks, or maybe next week, I might talk something. I enter my final 2 months of my 30s, about to enter the 40s. My 40th birthday is on June 23rd. Alrighty. All right, here it is. Weed it and weep it. I'm still heavily behind posts on Twitter and Facebook, but I'm catching up on Instagram. And I'm having a bit issues on YouTube, but I'm getting there, so don't worry. All right, so yeah, it's just most importantly, find Dan the Man's Weekly on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Hashtag Dan the Man's Weekly.
Thank you. Dan the Man's Weekly on YouTube. Go check it out. I'm gonna finish with some cover poems that I'm practicing. I want to share some pieces. A lot of people mentioned that it's Poetry Month, so my college is bringing in a dope poet in Jose Olivares out of Chicago. He's the son of Mexican immigrants, second generation, but he's got a couple collections out. So I have a couple pieces that I want to read of his that I'm trying to figure out what will work to share. But it's gonna be great welcoming him to El Paso. We do have a reading on the 19th. If you guys want to meet him, check it out. It's an open mic, but we're gonna prioritize students from El Paso Community College and the University of Texas El Paso. But if there's time, we will open it up to other performers as well. So 3 poems that I found. The first one is called "My Family Never Finished Migrating, We Just Stopped" by Jose Olivares. My family never finished migrating, we just stopped. We invented cactus. To survive the winters, we created steel. At my dad's mill, I saw a man dressed like a Martian walk straight into fire. The flames licked his skin, but like a pet, it never bit him. In the desert, they find our baseball caps, our empty water bottles, but never our bodies. Even the best ICE agents can't track us through the storms, but I have a theory. Some of our cousins don't care about LA or Chicago. They build a sanctuary underneath the sand. Under the skin, we shed so we can wear the desert like a cobija under the bones of our loved ones, bones worn thin as thorns to terrorize blue agents, bones worn thin as guitar strings. So when the wind blows, we can follow the music home. All right. Here's another. That was from his first collection, Citizen Illegal, and this is from it. I've got 2 more that I really like from his new collection, Promises of Gold, Promesas de Oro. It's bilingual. It's half in English, and if you flip it around, it's also in Spanish, which is really cool. That's really great for our students who are mainly Spanish speaking or bilingual, learning English. This one's called Inspiration. The year's first cherry blossoms are just trying to catch some sun, and here you go, poet, making grand proclamations about the cycle of life, saying some wild, corny mess like nature is healing. Nature took a mental health day just like you. Winter is long, and humans aren't the only creatures that suffer from loneliness. All right. And the last one. This collection is all about like love poems, but like love to community, to culture, and also questioning a lot of other aspects of that. This one's called Ojalá. I hate heartbreak. And yet I'll never forget the day after a breakup when the city came alive with ways to harm myself. Trains and buses and windows suddenly dangerous. I called my homie a few blocks away. They held my hand all the way to my apartment. Oh God, I praise this touch, untranslatable, which is how I know it's holy. All right. So, as always, thanks everyone for joining us on this Monday night. We're here every single Monday. So, if you guys want to catch us in the future, check us out at Barbed Wire Open Mic Series, any social media. You can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel. And if you click on any video, if you click on that bell, you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video, including hopefully the one you're watching right now. Anyway, so if you are an EPCC student and you're looking for extra credit or the QR code for the QEP, the Tejano Passport, shoot me an email. You can find me on Instagram, Deadwall Reveries, or I'm Professor Marrufo at Rio Grande campus. We will see you guys next Monday. Happy Poetry Month. And now I just get to push end of the show. Peace, everyone. See you next time. Later.